Thank you for joining us on the Media Connection. I'm Naima Latif, and we're here at the Pilgrim Mount Baptist Church on the west side of Chicago for the ReImagine Chicago Mayoral Forum. We have 5 candidates who will be expressing their viewpoint and answering some very specific questions from a coalition of organizations. We'll be right back in just a moment.
ReImagine a Chicago where? Neighborhoods get what they need. Schools get what they need. ReImagine a Chicago where? Real sanctuary exists. For Black, brown, and immigrants. And no one lives in fear. ReImagine a Chicago where? People are able to stay in their homes, to stay in their neighborhoods, to stay in their own city. When gentrification is no longer the solution, where new parks or attractions are for us. ReImagine a Chicago where? Where our communities are nice. And we are there to stay. ReImagine a Chicago where? We get action, not just promises. Where our plans and solutions are heard and implemented. Where the mayor serves the people, not their own pockets. We made the city. Invest in us. Invest in our future. Don't pretend the money's not there. To the next mayor of Chicago, here we stand. We are here to stay. Aquí estamos y aquí votamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Thank you.
All right, brothers and sisters, welcome to the West Side. And more specifically, welcome to West Garfield Park, a place with great neighbors, but also a community with great challenges. Recently, an article in Chicago Magazine said that there is a 16-year gap in the life expectation between West Garfield Park residents and those who live in the Loop. 16 years of gap in life expectancy in about 5 or 6 L stops. Somebody say that just ain't right. And there's a correlation because West Garfield Park, with these third world conditions, even though we have first-class neighbors, is also a community with the lowest per capita income, the fewest permits for new construction of any community in Chicago, and is also the community when Chicago closed 50 schools, 5 of those 50 schools were in West Garfield Park. That just ain't right. And so we know that there's a correlation between the struggles that we have and the disinvestment in our community. And so tonight, for us This is not fun and games, but this is a matter of life and death. And we want a next mayor who will tear down this tale of two cities in Chicago and make sure that all of God's children have a right to the tree of life. God bless you.
Good evening. My name is Amisha Patel, and I'm Executive Director of the Grassroots Collaborative. Thank you, Pastor Hatch, for so warmly welcoming us into your beautiful home. Welcome to the ReImagine Chicago Forum. Tonight, we will hear from 5 candidates who are seeking our city's highest office about where they stand on the issues that matter to us. But just as important, they will also hear from us, our stories, our struggles, and our vision for Chicago. Just a quick note that we had a last-minute cancellation from Comptroller Mendoza due to illness, and President Preckwinkle is on her way. Illnesses happen. There is so much at stake in this moment, and so much possibility. We demand a bold alternative to the failed status quo policies of displacement and discrimination. Together, we can imagine and we can reimagine and realize a Chicago that invests in our neighborhoods, our schools, and our services.
I'm your co-chair for tonight. The format for tonight is straightforward and powerful. Each candidate will give an opening statement, and then there will be 2 rounds of questions. During the first round, we will hear powerful testimonies from people directly impacted by the issues at hand, and then the candidates will each have 1 minute to answer the question. The second round will be a lightning round, where the candidates will need to respond with a simple yes or no. Following the lightning round, we will ask each candidate to sign a pledge to ensure that they keep the commitments that they make to us tonight, because our communities need accountability and not excuses.
How will you tax the rich and big corporations to pay for the services and investments our communities so desperately need?
Mr. LaShawn Ford.
Thank you very much for your powerful question, and this is why I'm running for mayor, for this very reason. The people on the south and west sides of Chicago have been taxed to poverty. And I'm telling you, the mayor of the city of Chicago has a responsibility to introduce a budget, and that budget is his or her moral compass. I tell you, as your mayor, I guarantee you that this city will turn around, and those that have been left out of paying taxes will pay their taxes. The corporate loopholes will close, and LaSalle Street will pay their taxes, and we will end the doubling of tickets in this city and all of the regressive taxes that this city has imposed on families, driving them into poverty, driving them into homelessness, and driving them into a state of crime. I pledge to you as your mayor, we will tax the rich.
Amara Enyia.
So a few years ago, I co-authored a book called Chicago Isn't Broke, Funding the City We Deserve. Because we know that the city is not broke. And in that book, we put forth many revenue solutions for Chicago. One that I already spoke about is a public bank for Chicago, recirculating millions and literally billions of dollars back into our economy. We also looked at the money that is wasted in, right now, $1.7 billion because of police accountability and police misconduct. That is actual revenue that could be recirculated into our economy. We have looked at, and I have co-authored legislation in Springfield for a financial transaction tax. I have worked on that issue. That's revenue. On the economic justice side, my campaign is the only campaign to put forth an economic justice platform calling for banning the boot in the city of Chicago because it is a regressive mechanism that ensures that you cannot use your vehicle or have mobility to work to make money to pay whatever your bills are. We also put forth progressive and productive mechanisms for tickets, fines, and fees and auditing them so that they're not harming our communities.
Toni Preckwinkle.
I want to address first the woman who spoke to her needs for behavioral health services. Cook County Health, as it created County Care, which I hope you're all aware of, our Medicaid expansion program that now serves 330,000 people and provides them with health care insurance, many who never had it before, only had it sporadically. We included behavioral health services to make those available to the participants in County Care. You know, the city closed its mental health clinics to save money, but it didn't save money. It shifted costs to the county. We provide services to people, behavioral health services, in our health and hospital system. And of course, sometimes when people don't have their meds, they end up acting out in our criminal justice system. I think we need to look closely at TIF reform as a source of revenue, and we need to put a moratorium on red light cameras and have a task force to look at the issue of taxes, fines, and fees related to traffic offenses.
Thank you. Willie Wilson.
I believe we have to open up those mental health centers, but we got to take it a step further than that, because everybody just can't get to 9 centers in Chicago or 12. You got to put in your neighborhood clinic, your hospitals, that you can go any place and get help and get taken care of. The other thing that we must do, form a economic infrastructure so that people can be able to get jobs and things of that nature. Take, for example, the budget. Chicago budget is $10 billion. $7 billion of that is in payroll. That does not reflect people of color represent the 7-7 community. We must build an infrastructure that keep us free so we don't have to go back looking for somebody to help us or somebody to come here talking a game and ain't gonna do nothing, haven't done nothing already.
Thank you. Lori Lightfoot.
If you remember nothing else about me tonight, I hope you remember this. I am the proud daughter of Elijah and Ann Lightfoot, 2 people who were born in the 1920s in the segregated South and suffered under the yoke of Jim Crow and racial discrimination. My father worked 2 and 3 jobs my entire growing up years to keep us in our house, to make sure that we had food and we had shelter. My mother worked a series of low-wage jobs. And growing up in that environment, I can assure you, I understand how regressive taxes and fees oppress people and drive them into bankruptcy. That is shameful that the city of Chicago is responsible for that, and we will change that under my administration. And of course, we have to rebuild our mental health safety net. It's not enough just to reopen the clinics, as Willie said. We've got to make sure that we have a comprehensive plan to address the trauma that is plaguing so many of our communities, and we will do that under my administration.
I'm a teacher, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother of 3 young people who attend our Chicago public schools. And I always begin by talking about the importance of strong neighborhood public schools. Not magnet schools, not selective enrollment schools, not charter schools, but strong neighborhood public schools. And unfortunately in this city, you can pretty much determine the resources devoted to public education by zip code. We need to be sure that great schools are available to all of our children and not just some of our children. I support a fully elected representative school board, a moratorium on school closings and new charters. The members who are appointed to the Board of Education, until such time as we have a fully elected representative school board, should be diverse and should represent geographically our entire city. As a teacher.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now we will hear from Mr. Willie Wilson.
I got into this race because they closed down 50 schools within our neighborhood. The politicians that I know today that's in the state of Chicago, I didn't hear not one person got up and fought for those schools being closed, right? We will open up those schools. We will make sure we got high techs, the computers, put trade within those schools. So when a young man or young lady come up and get out of high school or college, that they have a trade in order to find a job. I would make sure that the kid, our citizen, will get a very good education. It's all about people who care, not the people who just talk a good game and do something else. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Lightfoot.
The question was about an elected school board. I support a fully elected school board. My mother was on an elected school board in the town that I grew up in, and I know the importance of having true parent representation and advocates for parents and for kids. That's critically important. In the interim, what I will do as mayor is, number one, demand the resignation of every single member of the current school board. That's for starters. I will look for people who are reflective of the values of this city. I will make sure that the people that I appoint understand the great harm that's been done by ignoring the demands and the wishes of parents and teachers and other stakeholders. I will choose people who are from the community. I like the notion of choosing people who have served some time on a LSC, because they are there, they know the budgets, they've been in the vineyards doing this work. But I can assure you, where we will begin is treating parents as welcome partners. Thank you.
LaShawn Ford.
Thank you. And education is the most important issue that we could talk about if we want to give people a key to a bright future. I'm a teacher by profession, just like Madam President Toni Preckwinkle, and we know that it's a great profession, and we know that every child should have an opportunity to succeed. When I taught at Harlem and Irving. That's over in the area near the Harlem and Hip Mall. And the kids in the Austin community and in this area had to be bused over there because the resources were better. Now, that's not right. The city's Board of Education has a $7-point-something billion kitty that they could play with and they could do what they want with, and we can see what they do with it. They discriminate, and they make sure that only selected schools get the money to educate a select few in this city. And that's not right. Time is up.
Thank you. Amara Enyia.
I got my start in organizing in education because of the inequities that we see and that I've seen. So 3 things that I want to put on your radar following my support of an elected school board. 1 is we have to address the student-based budgeting model. It is fundamentally flawed. We need an equity-based model that funds schools based on need. Because right now, schools in our neighborhood are being penalized because our population has declined. And because of that, they have fewer resources, and our students do not get an equal chance at a quality education. Second, we have to address the way CPS draws school boundaries, because they do so in a way that perpetuates segregation. If you are unsure of how they do that, go up to the Northwest side, for example, where a new school is being carved out for a select population. Third, we have to address this stratified school model that's perpetuated by the selective enrollment model. It ensures that only the few who can get into those schools get access to an education. Those are 3 things that we need to address, that I will address.
Thank you.
When you hear that kind of powerful testimony, I think all you have to say is amen, amen, amen. Look, we know that this current administration has not invested in neighborhoods in the way that it should. We're spending $10 million to refurbish the Riverwalk when our neighborhoods are crying out for resources. When we know that developers are frankly not even developing south of Roosevelt Road or west of Ashland. That is because the city doesn't demand that developers speak our values. The city doesn't take the lead in making sure that we have real plans working in conjunction with neighborhoods to revitalize them and make sure that neighborhoods get the resources that are necessary. I see these various community groups that are here. I know that many of you have quality of life plans. What you're lacking is a leader who hears you and sees you. I can assure you that I will not allow developers to take advantage of our city, get our TIF dollars, and leave our neighborhoods starving. We have to do a better job because the neighborhoods are so critically important to the health and well-being of our.
Thank you. LaShawn Ford.
Thank you. So it's so very important to recognize that this city has been so racist and has discriminated against the black and brown community for so long that it has excluded us out of the economy. It has excluded us out of a $600+ billion economy. So we will fight together to make sure that we have quality education that connects to the workforce so that we don't have to worry about being excluded. We will have community benefits agreements when it comes down to people using tax dollars to build in our communities. We will eliminate the gentrification in our neighborhoods. We must do this because this city needs to heal, and it needs to heal now. There's no way this city could heal if we don't eliminate discrimination and racism in the economy. The economy holds everyone back. It goes to the homelessness.
Thank you. Amara Enyia.
So I'm going to ask you to imagine a bank that actually cared only about expanding Chicago's economy. A public bank for Chicago where we could issue low-interest loans to communities that have been redlined by traditional financial institutions. Imagine a cooperative economy where we pool our resources and own businesses in our neighborhoods. Your gas station, your dry cleaners, all of the institutions that in many instances are owned by individuals who don't even live here. Imagine a city that actually prioritized community benefits agreements with every development project. I've been part of those coalitions, not only on the south side, but there's a budding group on the west side fighting for CBAs. Imagine a city where the mayor actually used her power to advocate on behalf of workers, those who are being exploited and those who are being taken advantage of through wage theft. We need a strong advocate. The beginning of righting the wrongs of injustice in this city starts with reimagining the foundation of our economy.
Thank you. Toni Preckwinkle.
You know, this is fundamentally an equity issue. In the Harold Washington administration, where I worked for 3 years, we used to call this balanced development. We clearly have to focus on downtown, which is the economic engine, not just for our region, northeastern Illinois, but for the entire state. But we also have to focus on building strong neighborhoods. As I said, when I was alderman, we built 1,500 units of housing, most of it affordable rental housing. We expanded one shopping center and built a new one. So I've had the experience of trying to deliver revitalized neighborhoods to the communities that I served. We have to take a pause on these big TIF projects. 31% of our property tax revenue now goes into sequestered TIF districts. That's not sustainable in the long run. We have to wind down TIFs, declare surpluses, and put those resources back to the taxing bodies like our public schools in our city. When I was working with the city of Chicago, we overhauled our employment training initiatives to better serve those who are unemployed and underemployed and connect them with the parts of the economy that are growing. Thank you.
Mr. Willie Wilson.
Well, first we must have equality for all 77 communities in the city of Chicago, for all citizens. Then we must take and make sure that we put checks and balances in places. We must pass the first day in City Council that all 7 communities will receive equal amount of dollars according to its population and taxpayers' dollars. We must also allow citizens to come in and to challenge City Council on a quarterly basis, free of charge in terms of attorney to represent, to make sure people in place. Politicians don't act right. They just don't act right. You got to follow the laws and put it in laws, all right? That's my comment.
Thank you. Can we give it up to the grassroots leaders who shared their personal stories and these questions? Come on, give it up. Also, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you, candidates, for listening and responding. So at this point, we're going to turn it over to Veronica for our lightning round.
All right. So now we will be doing the lightning round of 7 questions. So following each question, each candidate must answer with a yes or no, nothing else. I'm going to say that one more time. A yes or no, nothing else. We will be keeping track of their answers on the screen behind me. Are we ready? All right, candidates, will you please stand? As mayor, will you reopen the mental health clinics that Rahm Emanuel closed in 2011 and invest an additional $25 million of city funds in mental health care?
LaShawn Ford,
Yes.
Amara Enyia,
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle,
Yes.
Willie Wilson.
25 million.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Lori Lightfoot.
Yes and more.
Thank you.
As mayor, will you support free college tuition for all Chicago residents, including undocumented students at Chicago City colleges?
Lori Lightfoot.
Yes.
Willie Wilson.
For those who cannot.
Yes or no, please.
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle.
Yes.
Oh, Amara Enyia.
Yes.
LaShawn Ford.
Yes.
Thank you.
As mayor, will you move away from student-based budgeting at CPS and towards an equitable funding formula that takes into account factors like bilingual education, special education, poverty, trauma, and teacher experience?
LaShawn Ford.
Yes.
Amara Enyia.
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle.
Yes.
Willie Wilson.
All right. Yes.
Thank you. Lori Lightfoot.
Stop flirting with the woman, man. Just answer the questions. Here, let's do this here. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm Naima Latif, bringing you coverage of this ReImagine Chicago Mayoral Forum here on the west side of Chicago.